where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandobi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Poleski goes, dives on the right side. Very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys, Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Poleski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the left car and around Mills at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vito Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass. Oh, a 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernald. Gernald will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
It's without a doubt for most motorsports fanatics that the single most historic racing venue in the United States is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. When you say the word Formula One next to that circuit, some awkward memories come to mind for many. Today, we get to go back even further into the history books and pull out the Lotus 79 racing cars, as we welcome you to the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, live from the road course here at the Brickyard. Up in the booth bringing you all the action today from the Global SimRacing Channel is yours truly, Nick Schmeg, being joined by Ossian Puhaka. Director's duties go to Joe Peak this afternoon, who as always will be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. From a town named Speedway, Indiana, we can always be learning stuff about this historic racetrack. And to learn some more, let's go to the GSRC Lap Guide.
All right, we've got Johan Noralampi in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Indianapolis. It's a hugely long stretch down into Turn 1. Not only will drivers be punching a giant hole in the air to provide a big slipstream, but the heavy braking into one also makes this easily the most ideal place for a pass. But the difficulty in overtakes here is that the chicane and then Turn 3 require a light right foot. You might see some drivers go for a pass and then blow it. Turn 4's braking is also particularly tricky with how unsettled the car tends to be. 5 will be flat out, but then you've got to try to bring it back across the track to help open up the patience try in Turn 6. Hug the left side for a good line into 7, where it's critical to keep wheel spin from messing up your exit. This brings you onto the backstretch, and if you're slow here, you can bet drivers will be eager to send one up the inside into Turn 8. That's the only other heavy braking zone during the lap, meaning there's few good places to pass here. And this is another finicky little section where the corners tighten as they go. Afterwards, you come to 11, where you need to make sure you're getting yourself a good line. Use a bunch of the curb on the inside, and then, as soon as you feel safe, put the power down. You're not going to be lifting from here to the end of the lap, so momentum will be everything. The downforce of the Lotus means it's not really worth drifting all the way to the wall. Stay low through the oval portion, let it swing off to the outside on the front stretch, and hopefully you've now finished a lap around Indianapolis.
There you see a lap around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the layout that we'll be using today. And to tell us more about that layout, Ozzy, I believe you've got some information on the track.
Indeed so. It is Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a legendary name, and we are racing on the road course today, 4.2 kilometers, that's about 2.6 miles, and we got 13 corners out here today. Infield, very technical, and then you have the long banked oval section, a track of two natures. We will see the drivers use a very different setup than they would want for the infield section, so it's gonna be very difficult. And I do believe, Nick, it's gonna be very difficult for how many laps?
We are going for 33 laps today, and to take a look at some more race details, I've got those for you here as well. Certainly going to be an interesting race. Looks like we've only got about 20 cars out there. This is round 7 of 12, just past the halfway mark. These drivers really have to start taking into consideration the points, which we'll look at in just a second. But yes, indeed, it is 33 laps today. Open setup, that's going to be very difficult to set up a car for this track with such a unique nature. And then incident points 17 will give you a penalty, and 25, as always, will remove you from the session. Now to take a look at those driver points, Ozzy, the driver points up front at the top of the board, kind of separated quite a bit, but below it gets a little more hairy.
Indeed, we've seen Antti Lepistö driving a very consistent campaign. No wins from the Sunday Grand Prix series, but he is leading by 50 points against the multi-million time champion Gernot Frisch. Jamie Hall is P number 3, 80 points behind the lead. Alex Milward 4th and Tim Claessens 5th. And Antti Lepistö, of course, Finnish. Gernot Frisch, Austrian. Jamie Hall, Alex Milward, both from the UK. And Tim Claessens is Belgian. And I believe you do have the team points for us as well.
I do indeed, and team points just as important for many of these drivers. No shocker up front. This team's been up there all season long. The Warsteiner Arrows Racing team with Hall, Millward, and Herner, 247 points they've racked up this season. 21 and 42 points back are the Alfa Romeo and Williams teams. And then just 4 points back from the podium is the Martini Racing Team Lotus. So a lot at stake for those teams, as we've only got 6 races left of the season. Like you said, Ozzy, this is going to be a very interesting race, but we've got qualifying going on right now. Only 20 drivers out there.
Yeah, only 20 drivers out there. Still 14 more than we've used to seeing with F1 and Indianapolis, but then again, it's 13 less than we've used to be seeing when the Indy races at Oval here, of course. The month of May, normally we would be waiting for it by now, but well, yeah, that's a different matter now. Still, 20 drivers, I always say 2 drivers is enough to get a good race going. 20 drivers, that's plenty. As I'm watching these qualifying times come in, these first qualifying times, a lot of the top drivers still waiting. Gernot actually on his first lap out there. Juan Mi Costa is in a little bit of a surprising provisional pole at the moment. Peter Konieczny second and Teemu Vaskilampi P number 3. All of those guys very close to each other, and that's what I'm expecting here. Very close racing. It's going to be very difficult to break away from the pack. So Nick, the first lap is going to be extra important. Who can get their tires working quickest? Who can get a good grip out there and get a good position onto the infield section to break away from the toe into the first oval section?
There you see Gernot Frisch put up his time. He's going to be second place. That's because Antti Lepistö has gone to the pole. That knocks Costa down to third.
Yeah, and good laps from both of them. Good opening laps. Let's see if they can improve on their second lap. They should be able to. Costa has already done his laps, by the way, so he's not going to improve. Antti Lepistö and Gernot Frisch is going to be the campaign to watch out for. These two guys, they are battling on top of the standings. They are also battling at Indy, and you can just see as we follow these guys around how difficult it is to control that car in that infield section. Both of them going way more sideways than we are used to, and that's because, well, I'm gonna tell you in depth about it later, but basically higher ride heights than normal, less wing than normal. This is a grounded car. It benefits from low ride heights, and it needs that wing to work properly. Without that, they're gonna have to control these Cosworth DFV beasts without the benefit of the downforce the car was built for. The Lotus 79 always difficult at low downforce tracks. It's gonna be no exception out here today, as Antti is gonna make it to the line, and he's not gonna improve. Let's see Gernot.
They're not just right behind him. Also not going to improve. 6/100ths down from his time before that. Everyone has actually put up a qualifying time. You only got 2 laps here to do it.
Yeah,
Tony
indeed.
Garcia. Looks like it might be everyone. Here comes Martin Gronberg.
Yeah, he's on lap number 3, so it's everybody who's done their provisional 2 laps. Everybody has done them already, so I believe we have the grid with 1.5 minutes remaining of the qualifying session. This is a luxury. We have time to actually talk about this, guys.
Yeah, let's do it. We've got 20 drivers that have all put up a qualifying time. Let's go to the starting grid. Antti Lepisto is going to have the pole here. The number 2 machine alongside Gernot Frisch on row number 1. Juan Costa and Peter Koniski are going to be 3rd and 4th. And Teemu Vaskilampi, who was complaining about a bad qualifying lap, he'll be starting back in 5th. He'll be alongside Thomas Torp in row 3. Chris Baumann and Martin Gronberg will make up row 4. Nick Sisson and Giosua Lokata are going to be making up row number 5.
Indeed, Frichten Kate and Matthias Havdal in row number 6, ahead of Tony Garcia and Mike Rosimas. Jesus Basilas and Carl Villeneuve starting 15th and 16th respectively. Jean-Francois Bocou and Keith Turner 17th and 18th. And in your final row, it is going to be Derek Rolleveld and Brandon Glenn Boyd rounding out your starting grid. And I must say it's gonna be a very, very interesting start because, Nick, look at the gaps between top 6 guys. They are all within 2.5 tenths.
Yeah, it's very close times on a track that, like you said, is so technical. The setups here are so finicky. And I do see a couple notable drivers not in the field today as well. Jamie Hall, Alex Millward, Tim Claessens.
Yeah, Tim Claessens has technical difficulties with his connection, so he was complaining about it earlier in the week and mentioning it earlier in the week and mentioning it as well here. One of the drivers, I won't say who in the grid, but one of the drivers in the grid is gonna say said earlier on that he hopes that someday he will learn to actually enjoy this track.
Hopefully that enjoyment will come in the next 33 laps. I'm sure it'll be enjoyable up here from the booth. A lot less stress up here.
A lot less. This is actually the first time I don't miss racing. But that's just my opinion, because it's going to be a great track, a great spectacle for these guys. A very difficult challenge. Not my type of track, but that doesn't mean anything really. I'm more of a high downforce guy. So yeah, I think they're gridding up already, Nick. And who do you think? Gernot, Juan Costa, we see Antti Lepisto starting from the pole. He hasn't gridded up yet. And that's going to be a very interesting dash to the line, because we've seen Gernot being very good on the opening laps this season.
It'll certainly be interesting to see if Lepisto can get his first win of the season from the pole in the Sunday Grand Prix Series. Frisch obviously has got a couple of wins, Sonoma, and then last week at Phillip Island. Everyone seems to be gridded up. Lepisto with the pole, starting on the outside lane here. And the lights are out. We are underway here at the Brickyard. It's a clean start from the top 2. Behind them, 3 wide. It's Teemu Vaskilampi going up through the middle.
Vaskilampi, what a start from him. What a start from Lepisto too. Fins getting clear into turn number 1. And I think Vaskilampi is going to hold on to pin number 3. Yes, he is. Juan Costa behind him as well. And everybody making it clean through turns 1 and 2. This is actually quite spectacular. It's a danger spot, definitely. But everybody making clean through this time.
Super hectic back in the field, but no one has come in contact with anyone else. Everyone giving each other some room. A car off track, that's Tony Garcia. But he manages to keep it going in the right direction. All this happening behind Lepisto, who's pulling away from the lead. They slide onto the back straightaway here. Gernot Frisch and Teemu Vaskilampi, who's moved into 3rd.
And Thomas Torp is very slow further back. He started from 6th place. He's nowhere near that right now, getting passed by Matthias Havdal. And Havdal is going to get through on the inside as well, so Thomas Torp being a little bit unlucky here on the first lap, trying to fight back, but nothing doing here, so he's going to slide further out top 10. Mike Rosimas also almost spinning, but the lead guys are going to get to the oval section, and I think Antti has already broken the block. I'm not quite sure. This is right on the line. Let's see the top speeds. Oh no, Gernot is definitely faster on the straight line. Look at this here. Antti Lepisto 260 going across the line. Gernot Frisch 266 kilometers an hour.
They snake down the front stretch here of the oval. Hard braking zone down to turn 1. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Frisch has a lot less downforce. That's helping him.
Yeah, it is. And Vaskilampi trying to desperately to stay behind them, Juan Costa as well. What a result it will be for him if he manages to stay in the 4th position. And Gronberg, meanwhile, got past Peter Konieczny, so he's sitting in 5th place. Very good results for all of these guys if they can hold it. Of course, it is still a long race, and the cold tires, they are still a little bit cold. They have started to warm up a little bit, but in a couple of laps, they will start to suffer from a different issue, and that is tire wear. Look at how much these cars are sliding about at this moment. And imagine what that does to those fat, poor rear tires. And imagine sliding the car in the infield section. As I mentioned earlier, no downforce. You have high ride heights, no downforce. Well, imagine how difficult it will be to operate this car with heavy fuel loads in 5 to 10 laps. So that's going to be something very interesting to watch out for.
We'll see here, we're riding on board with Koniski, trying to get a run on Gronberg through the oval. Might be having to go to the outside.
Oh no, he actually holds to the outside. I'm wondering why didn't he go for the inside? Maybe he doesn't want to pass here. Gronberg defending a little bit. Oh, Konieczny trying to break it a little and trying to get a crossover, but nothing doing here. Can he get a good run here? No, because Gronberg manages to shut out the line, and actually Konieczny sliding a little bit wide to the curb, and Chris Baumann, as a result of that, is going to be right behind him in this battle. Leo Kata as well going to catch up, so Baumann getting a little bit loose there on top of the curb. So I think Gronberg is playing his best Jarno Trulli impression here, Schmidt.
Yeah, big slides there from Baumann. Teammates with Martin Gronberg, who leads this train of cars. This train really starts at 5th place. It goes all the way back to, I guess you can say, Matthias Hevdel in 11th place.
Yeah.
This is our tightest battle on track right now, it looks like. You can see Konieczny getting right close up underneath the rear wing of Gronberg. They just can't manage to get alongside of him. You mentioned setup here is a very big deal, and I'm wondering if that's something Konieczny is struggling with right now.
Yeah, could be. He could be riding with lower tire pressures. Could be that he made a setup for a little bit more for the later part of the race instead of the earlier part. So he's struggling a little bit early on, and he's playing the long game here. But Konieczny, he's not in a bad pace and not in a bad position. I don't think any of these guys are dreaming about catching up to that top 4. So they're going to be really battling for the top 5 unless they really start to duke it out in the top of the field. So they are battling for very good points here. Gronberg trying to hold on, Konieczny trying to attack Baumann, Leo Kata as well in a solid pace. Baumann is one of those guys who is going to be watching these in the so-called popcorn position. And another guy I want to point out, Juan Costa, he's trying very hard to stay within the draft range of that top 3. He hasn't succeeded so far. He was 3 tenths slower than Vaskilampi in the previous lap, but he's trying so very hard with that car, and I think he is one of the more entertaining drivers to watch at this moment. Juan Costa and then the battle behind him.
Yeah, Costa's certainly been fast here early on. Now Gronberg behind him might open up the door a little bit for Konieczny. Will he be able to reel him in here? We'll see what kind of slipstream he can get, as it looks like they are really pulling away from the rest of this train.
Yeah, they are.
He's pulling in.
And he's going to get the inside line as well. So Gronberg not turning in tight enough. And I think he's conceding that inside line. He's going to take it to a braking battle. But look how the car of Konieczny that just stops once he gets alongside, once he pulls alongside. So he's not going to get good enough of a run. It was really close, but he was not able to get the move done. And even from the outside, Gronberg was able to pull ahead. So you can really see that even though Konieczny is getting the draft, he pulled out a little bit too early, and as a result of that, he couldn't quite get properly alongside. He was alongside, but he wasn't ahead. So he wasn't able to utilize the draft. And the way it happened, even with Konieczny getting the draft on the start of the straight, it would lead me to believe that actually Konieczny has a little bit more downforce, a little bit less straight line speed on his car than Martin Gronberg at this moment.
Yeah, that'll make you quicker here in the turns. As we go back to Matthias Havdal. He's trying to close in on Nick Thyssen for 10th place. And this is all in front, or this is all behind Freak Tenkata. Very tight through there. Wow.
That was very close from Nick Thyssen as well, yeah. He almost came into a contact, but barely managed to avoid it. Nick Thyssen, he was very good at Spa, and it's great to see Nick Thyssen, who is such a big part of the iRacing community and this classic team championship community, Lotus 79 community, to be actually out here racing as well. It's been a long time before this season, but we're seeing him here once again. And meanwhile, further ahead, alongside Peter Konieczny, Chris Baumann has now caught up to Konieczny, and Konieczny has no speed. Baumann trying through on the outside, but nothing doing there. You can see how difficult it is to judge that line going into the outside of turn number 1. Leo Kata coming into contact further back with Thyssen, I believe. and both of them able to survive of that one, Nick, but that was very close. Thyssen got a very good run exiting turn number 1, hit with Leokata. Leokata sliding a little bit wide, hitting with Thyssen, but Thyssen still able to get ahead.
Yeah, I think Leokata is dealing with some connection issues too. See the replay here, Nick Thyssen. This is Koniecki and Chris Baumann.
Yeah, Koniecki just look at how quickly he was caught up, and you can see just Baumann on the outside just getting way faster straight line speed, and behind them you can already see the battle developing there, a couple of cars battling, and you can see Baumann not quite able to pass, and here's the contact right here. Just a little bit wide from Leokata and a little bit of connection issues as well, and Nick Thyssen just able to survive that contact. That was a wheel-to-wheel contact, and that was the only angle of contact, only angle of touch that both of them were gonna make it out of that one. And they were so fortunate it was such a tiny contact wheel-to-wheel, because you know, Nick, how easily those cars actually hop up when the wheels touch each other, and meanwhile Leokata has actually lost his connection. That's a shame.
Yeah, these cars, you got to be very careful with them. Let's jump back to the lead, because Gernot Frisch seems to have caught onto the Pisto a little bit more. I've been watching him close in, and he's here in the infield section, so it's kind of hard to tell how much he's really closed in with the slipstream and the draft.
Yeah, he was
But
actually
Frisch,
2 tenths.
yeah,
2 tenths
Frisch is
slower
definitely there.
Yeah, Frisch was 2 tenths slower last time by, but he's caught up this lap once again, and he's able to catch up to Antti, who's been very consistent this season. He hasn't really been the fastest driver in any of the races, but he's been consistently in top 3, top 5, putting in good performances, and behind them, Teemu Vaskilampi hasn't given up either. He was actually 7 thousandths of a second, 7 milliseconds slower than Gernot last time by, so it's a really good battle for top 3. And we see once again, here we see Antti Lepistö 265 on the line, Gernot 270. So he's catching up each and every time on these straights is the Austrian, but in the corners Antti is a little bit faster. We get fresh lap times, Gernot 6/100ths of a second faster than Antti last time by. So it's very, very close between these two great warriors.
It is, and it's also close back in 8th place where Thyssen and Tenkata are side by side again. Matthias Havdahl watching all of this from 10th. And Tyssen's going to be able to get around Freak Tenkata. And Tenkata might lose 2 positions, because here comes Havdahl. Can he hold the inside? He can't. He might be able to switch it around here. Not quite.
Whoa, that was very, very close, and a very good reading of the situation from Matthias Havdahl, who I must say I haven't seen previously in the Lotus 79 races. He might have been here last week when I wasn't present at the commentary booth, sadly, but Matthias Havdahl, he's for a new guy who I'm seeing for the first time in the broadcast split. He's doing very well so far. He's being very consistent, staying very careful, not really jumping into the chances too aggressively. And he's right behind Freak Tenkata at the moment inside top 10. So that's very impressive driving from the Scandinavian driver, who I believe, judging by the name, he might be Danish, but don't take that for a fact. That's just my, Scandinavian names. Swedish, Norwegian, Danish, they're kinda the same. From a Finnish perspective, at least.
And something's happened to Teemu Vaskilampi. He has fallen back to 4th place, and it's about to be 5th place. And it is because Martin Gronberg has just gotten by him. And notice Juan Mikosta went back to the podium.
Oh! We're gonna need a replay of that one. Heading onto the back straight, last lap, Teemu Vaskilampi having a big moment onto the back straight, and he actually went into the wall.
He did indeed. Let's take another look at this, see if we can get it.
He was just, getting a little bit too anxious on the throttle, getting loose on the left side curb, and then his right rear tire went into the wall, and he bumped into air and almost spun around. And I don't see significant damage, but there definitely is damage on the front wing, and that's gonna affect his downforce. So he's gonna be fighting an uphill battle, and I must say, after his successes in one of the previous races of the season, I believe it was at Spa where Teemu was successful. Well, at Bathurst he was successful. Well, Teemu once again continuing on the trend he started on the early part of the season. Very fast, but also inconsistent.
Yeah, couldn't quite get to the replay there, but Kanievski is trying to get his way around Bauman now. This is all right behind Vascalampi, trying to rebound from that incident. Kanievski going to try to cross over. And all of a sudden, these 4 cars have all come very close together.
Yeah, indeed. Teemu is kind of trying to still catch up to the back of Martin Grönberg, hold up to the back of Martin Grönberg. He's trying to deal with the damage he has at the moment. But you can see that Grönberg is getting away little by little. Chris Bauman, meanwhile, battling his very loose cars. And you can see how loose these cars are at the moment. Nobody's having a good time right now in the back, trust me. Racing Lotus 79 at the Indy, normally it would be like a great time. Racing Lotus 79 is a great time, but nobody's having fun on the infield at the moment. Everybody's just battling with the grip. There's no grip. Track temp 43 degrees Celsius. That's a very hot track. And when I mentioned knowing earlier on, well, it's gonna be a race of attrition and a race of making as few mistakes as possible and try not to burn those rear tires. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's definitely hot out there. Let's see what kind of runs they can get here on the front stretch. I think Kanievski just a little bit too far back from Bauman. Vascalampi might have a little too much damage to close in on Grönberg.
And behind them, Rasimas and Pasilas for the 12th position. That was fun to say. Pasilas on the inside, Mike Rasimas on the outside, trying to get through. Nothing doing there, so Rasimas still behind, trying to get a crossover move, but not quite able to pull it off. However, he is very close to Jesus Pasilias. And they are also very close to Tony Garcia, so, you know, well, getting closer to Tony Garcia all the while. So, you know, it's gonna be interesting battles developing here, and Derek Roosevelt as well, right behind them. So, in the mid-pack, a couple of good battles. Not only the battle behind Vascalampi, but also the battle for those guys as well. But yeah, look at the train that's forming right now behind Grönberg, Vascalampi, Bauman, Konechny, Nick Thiessen, Flecktenkate, Matthias Havdahl. All of those guys right in the mix.
Yeah, we saw these guys in the train to start the race. A couple of battles broke them up, and they have all come back together. All the way from 4th place back to 10th. Grönberg leads the way now. Everyone trying to get a little bit of a competitive edge over the guy in front of them. But they really separate here on the oval.
Yeah, they do. So the thing is, Grönberg has good straight line speed. Vascalampi being able to hold on to the draft at the moment, but not catching him because he has the damage of the car and it's gonna affect his top end. Chris Bauman just throwing it around into turn number 1. I like how this man just throws the car around the Swiss driver, but he's not quite being consistent enough. Can't find the grip on this car, and unfortunately, you need the grip to go fast. I like watching guys slide the thing around as much as anyone, but you need grip in order to transfer the sideways momentum into forward momentum, because anytime you go sideways, you're not going forward, and that's just forward momentum basically going to waste at this moment with Chris Bauman, but still he's trying, and it's entertaining to see, very definitely so. Flecktenkate and Matthias Havdahl still in the back of this pack. I wonder if Havdahl is starting to get a little bit anxious that Flecktenkate is not quite as fast as Nick Thiessen, and maybe trying for an overtake at one of these laps, because right now I don't think Flecktenkate is anymore right in the draft of Nick Thiessen, so they are in a danger of losing that train if Havdahl doesn't make any moves soon. The question is, does Havdahl have the pace? We don't know.
Yeah, this could be as much as Havdahl's setup has prepared him for. He said, though, he's been riding popcorn position behind Thiessen and Flecktenkate this whole race. But look at him just fall back on the straightaway. I think this is the best he's doing. Seems like he might have a lot more downforce, which is keeping him connected through the infield.
Yeah, his top speed 270 km an hour, and comparing that to Flecktenkate, who was doing 276 at the end of the straight. Let's see how much Nick Thiessen is doing. 275 as well. So yeah, that 6 km an hour lost on the end of the straight, gonna make overtaking very difficult. But there on the infield, you can just see Havdahl getting a little bit tail happy there as well. Look how fast he is heading onto that back straight. He's right in the back of Flecktenkate once again, but overtaking may prove difficult, and he may have to wait for a mistake here.
Even if he gets around Tenkate, I would assume as long as Freak can stay there with him, he would be able to jump right past him on the oval. But here he is closed in big time through the infield, through the chicane.
Oh,
Both
that
of them
exit!
sliding.
Wow, that was an amazing exit from Havdal. Sadly, not the fastest way, but he was sideways and he did the right thing there. Very much the right thing, brave thing. He was noticed that he turned in a little bit too early. He just went deeper into the throttle and slid it all the way to the exit curb, and it was millimeter perfect. Again, sadly not the fastest way, but that was very impressive indeed. Further ahead, Baumann and Vaskalampi.
Yep, Baumann and Vaskalampi are side by side. Vaskalampi has been overtaken by Chris
crossover.
Baumann, and not so fast.
I love it so much. Oh, not quite able to get it through. Teemu Vaskilampi, I can't believe it. He went for the Keke Rosberg move. He went for the full Keke Rosberg there. He realized that he was going to lose that position. So what he did was he planted the throttle just enough to get the car a little bit sideways. And as a result of that, getting a power overtake alongside, but not quite able to pull through on the inside. But that was very brave stuff from Vaskilampi, realizing the situation, not wanting to give up the position. But unfortunately, again, with the damage he picked up a couple of laps ago, it's going to be really difficult for him to actually pass anyone, as hard as he may try.
That created a big stack up between Koniecki and Nick Thyssen, who I thought might be able to get around Vaskilampi, or at least Thyssen get around Koniecki, but they will not, at least yet. They'll stay in line, but this is a big run from Peter on Teemu on the front stretch. Let's see what he does down to turn one. He's going to take the inside line. Teemu's going to let him. Nick Thyssen's going to follow. Is he going to make it 3 wide? He is indeed. He's going to back out. Koniecki trying to hold the inside, but Teemu Vaskalampi, the track will switch back in his favor for now. He's going to keep the edge over the 10 car of Koniecki. Koniecki has to defend now from Thyssen, and Thyssen sideways.
Yeah, he hit the grass on the braking, but that was really good stuff from Thyssen. He showed intent on the main straight, but didn't actually commit for the move, and that's a good thing because 3 wide into turn number 1. Even with guys as skilled as this, it's, you know, it can either be an iRacing top 10 moment or it's gonna be a plane crash. There's no in between.
And they separate once more on the backstretch. That splits the infield here at Indianapolis. Chris Baumann getting closed in on by Vaskalampi.
Yeah, Vaskalampi very fast on the infield section still, but he has no straight line speed. You can see just how fast Konieczny catches up to him as they come to the straight. Well, Peter is actually a little bit further away, but still, it's when you come to the straight with that bent up front wing, it's like Teemu hits a wall here. You know, he's hit a literal wall, and now he hits the wall of air, and he just loses ground, losing even more. Even if Peter is not properly in the draft, he is now. And Teemu, once again, a little bit slower, not quite able to utilize the top speed, and that has to be frustrating, because clearly Teemu has made his setup a little bit more towards the top speed, so he's not able to utilize his advantage. But he also has no strength on the infield section because he's sacrificing that. And the only reason he's able to stay so close is how hard he tries, as we see once again Konieczny meanwhile getting challenged by Nick Thyssen to the outside, as both Teemu and Peter make mistakes there. And Nick Thyssen right now looks very consistent and his car is clean, and I wonder if he's gonna make a challenge to all the way to top 5.
Yeah, I agree. I think Nick Thyssen is looking like one of the most competitive guys in this pack. Koniecki had a big slide through the infield. That allowed Thyssen to get up alongside of him, but Thyssen had a slide as well that forced him to back out of it. And now this is really stacked up. Tankata and Havdal behind him.
Yeah, and Havdal once again that power move to the outside, sliding a little bit, but sadly doesn't have the straight line speed to quite compete here against Freak Tankata, especially in a draft train like this. But Thyssen now very close to Peter. He's gonna go for it.
He's gonna have to go around the outside, but I think he's gonna be able to clear him.
Yeah, because he gets
gonna slip back.
No, he got the draft from Teemu, and he's gonna pass Teemu as well. Thank him for his troubles. And gonna go inside of Teemu into turn number 1. It's gonna be very close. Teemu just got ahead. Thyssen fighting back, but yeah, Nick Thyssen made a wise move of going to the outside because he saw Teemu there, and Teemu has no reason to defend to the inside. He can just hold on to the racing line. So while Nick got alongside Peter, Nick also got the draft from Teemu, and that enabled the pass, and Peter trying to fight back on the infield, but nothing doing there. That was great thinking from Nick.
That stack up allowed Matthias Havdahl to get around Freak Tenkate as well in turn 1. He's able to complete that pass. Thyssen will be in front of Kaniewski, and Vascolampi, who was right stacking all of them up, has been pulling away again. All this has allowed Gronberg and Baumann to pull away big time from these 5.
Yeah, and it's a great battle, and it's still not over. You can see just how hard Peter is trying slip into the inside of the track as well. You know, just using that all of the track and 10 some to his advantage. Havdahl trying to catch up to him. Freak Tenkate losing ground on the infield. Wonder if he's gonna catch up on the oval section. We now truly see how fast Freak Tenkate's car is in the draft. Oh my dear lord! 280 k's an hour, and meanwhile further ahead it is Vascolampi and Nick Thyssen once again. Vascolampi braking later, but Thyssen sliding through on the inside. That was textbook.
Thyssen had an unstoppable run there. I thought he was going to back out for a moment. He was able to keep going. I also saw Havdahl actually be able to close in on Kaniewski. He was under pressure from Tenkate behind him. Aussie action all over the track back here.
Yeah, these guys are all over the track, and now Nick Thyssen, I wonder if he's going to be able to pull away now that he got free of Teemu Vascolampi, and Peter and Havdahl and Freak Tenkate are all gonna be queuing and fighting to get past Teemu, but Teemu got a slowdown penalty, and that's gonna clear all of these guys away from him. So that's a hard break for Teemu, and that's gonna separate this back a little bit, because they no longer have to plug in front of them in form of Teemu that is slowing them down a little bit. So we now see how they battle, and we now see if Peter is able to hold on to the back of Nick Thyssen, because Nick Thyssen just might be the rocket that catapults them not to the stratosphere, not to outer space, not to the moon, but into the battle for top 5.
Chris Baumann is quite a ways ahead. We will have to see over the next coming laps. How about Matthias Havdahl on the back of Kaniewski? Kaniewski's going to go defensive down the front stretch. Havdahl, who looked like he was struggling with speed earlier on in this race, he continues to move forward around the outside. It switches back in his favor. He's going to move up to 7th.
He hit that bump on turn number 1, actually, did Havdahl, and that was a very good save for him. He got a little bit sideways there. You can see him hitting bumps, and once again, he's very sideways. He's burning up those rear tires, but look at that car go. He's all the way to 7th place, and he is going very stylish. And Matthias Havdahl, what he's saying right now is, I want to catch up to the back of Nick Thyssen. You can't stop me now. He's like Freddie Mercury. You can't stop him.
Another driver that you can't stop. I hate to move away from these 5 drivers who have been putting on a heck of a show, but Antti Lapisto has continued to keep this lead. We must note, Gernot Frisch has not let him get away completely, so this thing is not over up front. It's about a 1.5 second here on the straightaway. A little mistake from Antti up front, I think, would definitely put Gernot Frisch back in contention here.
How many mistakes has Antti made this season? Okay.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Frisch is really gonna have to hope.
Yeah, that's the thing. But they've been trading lap times, and Gernot has also solid pace. Antti Lepisto 119.5 last time, Gernot 119.6, so they are close to each other pretty much. They're gonna keep battling, but there's also gonna be battle further back behind. I think we should jump back to that, because you remember those lap times for the leaders I just mentioned? 19.5, 19.6, yeah. Well, Nick Thyssen did a 19.7 last time by. He's 1/10 behind Gernot in terms of raw pace. Chris Baumann in the draft was 2/10 slower almost.
Nick Thyssen, we saw him get a podium at Spa. He's certainly fast. He hasn't had the luck swing in his favor yet this season. Looks good so far for him today, and yeah, further back we had a little bit of action, but that's all sorted itself out. Let's go back to 12th place. We were noticing Mike Rasmus earlier as he was going back Jesus Pasillas. He's gotten around him, but Derek Roeleveld has as well, and Roeleveld now puts on a challenge for this 12th place position.
Yeah, and Derek Roeleveld, he's been very solid for someone fairly new to the series. Rasimas as well. We remember Rasimas was inside top 10 at Bathurst before that unfortunate contact with Alex Milward. And Rasimas here in 12th place as the sun goes into the shade, goes behind the clouds to hide away. I wonder why it doesn't want to see this battle. Tony Garcia ahead of him. Rasimas has a solid chance for another top 10 here if something happens to the cars in front. But very solid pace from these guys. Tony Garcia 120.6, Mike Rasimas in the draft, mind you, 119.9 last time by, so breaking under the 120 barrier. And that's a very solid pace. Derek Rollewell not far off either. And a shout out to Jesus Basilius, 119.8, and he's looking draft. But he's a very loose indeed.
Yeah, it seems like everyone in this top split, they've earned their spot in this top split. They are all very quick around here. Oh. Rolleveld will hang on to the back for Rasimas.
Don't look now, but Gernot caught up half a second last time by to Antti Lepistö. And Gernot is closing up once again. 8/10 was the gap last time by. And Gernot is right now in the draft range. 119.6 for Antti, 119.4 for Gernot. Guess what? After all this battling in the midfield, we are seeing two giants of this series, the ancient ones, Antti Lepistö and Gernot Prix, battling it out for the lead. They still have 12 laps to go. And you know what, Nick? Ding, ding, ding. Let's get it on.
They've got 11 and a half laps to do it. And you don't always see this in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. A lot of times the race is dominated by someone, but today, like you said, we've got two veterans going head-to-head, and it's a beautiful thing to see at the Brickyard. Antti Lepistö going for his first win of the season. Gernot Prix right behind him. He's got to get around the number 2 machine. He's right up to the back of him. If he does so, he'd become the winningest driver of the season. He'd get his third today.
Yeah, but it's not going to be an easy task, Antti. We know how little mistakes he makes, but Gernot has the advantage of the draft in the straight lines. If he can get that launch off the last corner, or the last corner you have to actually brake for here. And you can see in the oval section just what that draft means. Gernot closing up, closing up, closing up. 275 here across the line. Antti has to defend to the inside.
He goes all the way down to the wall. They slide, trying to weave across the track. Gernot Prix gets a nose ahead. He's going to challenge him on the outside. It'll switch back in his favor. Prix has the lead for now, but what can Lepistö do trying to get this thing back?
Oh, he just has to hold on to the back. We know Antti is a little bit faster onto the infield section, but he has the draft now to worry about. And that's a blessing on the straights, but curse in the corners. You have the dirty air when you ride right behind another driver like this. So he's gonna have to get used to it and used to it fast if he doesn't want to lose Gernot. This is still very good for the championship for Antti as well, but I think he's hungry for that first win. He's driven 6 races, right close to it, in second places, in P3, in 4th place, and you know, all the way close to that podium, but hasn't been able to change the taste the champagne of the victor, hasn't been able to hear the Maamme laulu in the podium. But right now Antti, he's closer than ever, but he has the Austrian Superman to beat out here today. Well, what can the Red Baron do against Antti Lepistö's charge? Antti is now closing up, and I want to see how fast Antti is actually in the draft. Across the line, Antti is gaining up still in the draft, not quite as much as Gernot, but they are actually not that far off as I anticipated in terms of the straight line speed when it comes to driving alone. So, Antti might have a chance if he can stick close enough.
They've got a hefty 10 laps to go. We'll have to check in on these people later, because back in P8, Freak Tenkata is under pressure. Actually, he's just gotten around, Peter Kaniewski.
Yeah, he was able to use the freakish straight line speed of his in order to get past Peter. And I must say, Peter's been struggling a little bit in this fight. You can see how much they have lost ground to Matthias Havdal, to Nick Thiessen. Oh, and Baumann goes off. Baumann goes off ahead of them from 5th place. That's going to allow Nick Thiessen to get through. That's going to allow Matthias Havdal to go through as well. And I believe, yeah, that is very much for the replay, because it all already started on the previous corner.
Yeah, big mistake for Baumann.
Yeah, he got wide on top of the curb and hit the grass, lost it there, and that was a marvelous save from Chris Baumann early on. That was a cockpit full of hands at that moment full rally driver stuff. Unfortunately, he cooked the tires, wasn't able to slow the car down enough for the next corner, went sideways, tried to save it, and actually managed to keep it from spinning, but hit that grass, and as a result of that, lost a lot of time, but that could have been so much worse. And he's actually right behind Matthias Havdahl right now.
And back up front on screen, you just saw Antti Lepisto close in on Gernot Frisch. There he is for the lead. They come back through the infield section. Frisch will extend that lead a little bit, but here comes Antti Lepisto right behind him on the inside.
Now Antti's looking for a better entry onto the back straight. Let's see how they can do. Antti had to get off the throttle just a little bit mid-corner. Gernot was a little bit more aggressive on the exit, and that paid dividends for him, but Antti is still very close, and if he is able to hold on to this position, able to stay this close onto the main straight, I think Antti's gonna have him into turn number 1. Of course, catching up is one thing, passing is whole other. Gernot was able to pass on the outside. Antti was a little bit conservative in that braking earlier on, and I think that paid dividends for Gernot. I wonder if Gernot's gonna be so nice when they come into turn number 1. They're both gentlemen, but being gentlemen doesn't mean you have to be nice.
They're coming up to 8 laps to go. Let's see what kind of run Lepisto can get this time from second place. You can see Frisch weaving across the front stretch. Hard braking zone down into turn 1. Lepisto a little bit later on the brakes, so that'll help him close in, but not enough to get around him.
Yeah, Lepisto still very close this time by, but he knows he sent the battle call right out to Gernot, and he said to Gernot at this moment, no, I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna fight with Sisu all the way right to the end. And Antti, well, he has a mountain to climb, and he has the toughest driver in this series to beat if he wants to win. So it's not an easy challenge, but if it would be easy, everybody would be doing it. And Antti and Gernot absolutely class of the field out here today, and it's great to see these two guys finally battling it out for a race win. I wonder who's gonna win. I honestly wonder. I have Gernot right now. In my papers, I have Gernot, even as a Finn. Even as someone who knows both of these drivers very well, even slightly biased, I have Gernot as a winner, but I'm not so sure. It's all gonna depend on how well Antti is able to improve his exit of the last corner. Because you see, at this moment, Antti is not close enough to actually catch up to Gernot before the start-finish line. And he's not close enough to catch up to him in turn number 1. So it's gonna be a mistake from Gernot, which we don't see too often, or it's gonna have to be Antti improving his driving somehow in these last couple of laps. So Gernot has the tiny advantage at this moment, but he's not gonna have it easy by any means.
Definitely not. Two drivers, the class of the field, rarely, like you said, make any mistakes in this series. A little bit of a slide there from Lepisto. Let's jump back to Chris Baumann, who's under pressure now from Matthias Havdahl.
Got past Havdahl on the main straight.
Yeah, Havdahl had that position because of the mistake that Baumann made. Baumann was able to get past him. But Havdahl's not going to give that up yet.
That was brave on the braking from Matthias Havdahl, but we remember Havdahl has the slower straight line speed, and that's not an advantage for him at all. And I wonder, we saw some brave driving earlier on from Mr. Havdahl. I wonder if he's cooked up his tires at this moment. Let's see. He's turning very gingerly into the corner, turning very gingerly onto the next one. And every time he's able to hold the grip, he's a little bit faster than Chris Baumann. But once again, getting a little bit loose on the exit, having to counter. I counted 3 times he was turning left into a right-hand corner, and he's right behind Baumann at this moment. But getting right behind is one thing, but I wonder if he has the straight line speed to bounce back.
Well, we wondered if he was maybe having to overdrive a little bit to make up for that lack of setup, like you said, early on in the race, and now his tires might be a little bit too fried to contend for this position with Chris Baumann. He's certainly there. We'll have to keep an eye on him. This all happens behind Nick Tisson, who has, like you predicted, moved up into the top 5.
Yeah, and he's actually behind Grunberg at this moment. A tenth slower last time by, but I wouldn't put it past Nick Tisson to actually catch up to Grunberg in the later portions of this race. And can I give a shout out to one driver at this moment? A driver who was last time by the fastest in the field. In P number 3, Juan Micosta. We've seen him being okay, being good earlier this season. We haven't seen him being excellent yet. And I think right now Juan Costa is grabbing up, he is rising up those stairs and onto the floor of excellence at this moment. He's been very solid, very consistent all throughout the race, and behind the battling duo, he is the best of the mortals, I would say.
Yeah, a stellar race for Juan Costa. Like you said, we usually see him in the mid-pack. He's the number 11 driver here in terms of iRating, and he finds himself in 3rd place, right in front of 4th, 5th, 7, and 6. And right behind, like you said, Gernot Frisch and Antti Lepisto. He has struck something here that has helped him. He's just done a fantastic job here. You can't say enough about that performance. Hopefully he can hold on and take home that podium. That'd be special, as Antti Lepisto had a big slide, it looked like.
Yeah, Antti hit the grass just a little bit, and as a result of that, lost a bit of ground. And I wonder if that's gonna affect his confidence when he was trying a little bit too hard, knew he was almost about to lose it, and he's lost ground early on in this lap to Gernot, who I think is right now saying, okay, I had enough of battling, I'm gonna do the Gernot Frisch thing and check out at this moment in time. But it's still battle on, and I don't see Antti giving up, but I don't see him taking huge risks anymore either, because the gap right now is so big that in these final 4 laps, he's gonna need a mistake from Gernot. He's not gonna catch up to him on raw pace, I don't think. Sad enough as it is, but still a very good race for these two. Meanwhile, further back, Chris Baumann, Matthias Havdal, Frick ten Kate. This might be interesting, especially if Havdal and Baumann end up battling it. We've seen the straight line speed from Free, and I do wonder.
Yeah, he is quick back there, but it would take some more battling from Baumann and Havdal, I believe. They have 4 laps to go. Baumann weaving over across the front stretch to try to break that draft. Havdal, who really needs that draft, trying to keep with him. Down into turn 1 they go. Over the curbs. And yeah, it looked like Frick ten Kate behind him. He did gain quite a bit on him, but he's going to need a couple more of those laps. And now a little bit of an open door for Matthias Havdal underneath the number 7 of Baumann. Not able to get through the door completely, but a big slide from Baumann's going to let this open up the other way.
And coming back right at him is Matthias Havdal. You can see both of those drivers right at the rugged edge. Nobody has grip at this moment. It's just a battle of car control, pure skill and pure will between Chris Baumann and Matthias Havdal. And at this moment in time, all the strategy, all the thinking they might have done before the race, well, as they say in boxing, all plans go out of the window when you get punched in the face. Well, that's the same thing here. All plans go out of the window when you have raced post tires to the bitter end. And Havdal and Baumann right now just battling it out. Baumann once again having the solace of the straight line, with Havdal not able to catch up to him here. But look out in the corners. 3 laps to go. Havdal's gonna be a very tough customer.
And like you said, keep an eye on Frick ten Kate, who is still closing in on him. He is, I would just about say, he is definitely a part of that train now.
Oh!
Back in...
Havdal! That... I'm sorry. It's just Havdal making an unbelievable save once again, exiting turn number 1. He was pretty much on full Tokyo drift mode here, and he's still somehow able to catch up to Baumann in this infield sector. This is amazing right now. There's just no words.
All 3 of these drivers having to slide their Lotus 79s around the tight technical corners.
And I can't stress enough how difficult this is from a driver's perspective. Because not only do you have to battle, you have to keep the strategic mindset. Where can I pass him? How many laps do I have to go? What's the situation around me? How's the car feeling? And so on. But you're physically worn out by saving this car all the time. It's not an easy task. You have to be so quick with your hands, with your feet to save this car. You have to be sure that you're not like overcorrecting it, being sent into the wall. And just Havdal, and Baumann as well. And ahead of them, Nick Thiessen and Martin Grumberg battling for P number 4.
Thiessen able to get around him before they even enter turn number 1. Thiessen has been, like you said, he's been a rocket today. Ever since he broke away from that pack, he has really been moving forward. You said he was maybe going to get the top 5. He's answered that confidently. He's up to 4th now around Martin Grumberg.
Yeah, he is. And once again...
Oh, and a big
I think-
slide, and Freak Tenkate has gone around.
Oh no. And meanwhile, Hafdal is battling once again with Baumann. He's trying very hard in these infield corners, into these tight corners. Onto the back straight, they come. Both of them able to grip it down. But yeah, Freak Tenkate losing that position. That's gonna drop him all the way down to 10th place. Gonna promote Peter Konieczny to 8th and Teemu Vaskilampi to 9th. Teemu as well close enough to Peter, but not close enough to make the move done. And we are coming to the last lap, and I believe it is Gernot Frisch in the lead. Antti Lepistö in 2nd place. Konami Costa, P number 3. Oh, Baumann goes wide, and Hafdal gonna get through.
Matthias Hafdal able to get through
And
as these
Vaskilampi
two
made a
come up to
mistake.
their last lap.
Yeah, and Vaskilampi made a mistake on the last sector. No need to go to it, but he went to the grass and lost a couple of positions. Very unlucky for him. But Baumann...
And look at this,
got
Baumann
fast.
fighting back.
Yeah. Here's the
All
straight
the
line.
way down to the inside wall into turn number 1. Baumann gets the position back. A little bit of contact.
No.
Hafdal's going to go around. Baumann keeps going.
Oh, look at the patience from Matthias Hafdal there. He was battling all the time, aggression at the full limit, but he was still not only able to avoid Baumann, as Baumann braked earlier, and Hafdal a little bit too late, but also able to wait and not run right into someone. Very good professionalism from Hafdal, who's gonna sadly come home, I think, 7th. But I believe our leader is closing up to the start-finish straight.
Yeah, some absolutely incredible racing. Some of the best we've seen all season throughout the field. And how about Gernot Frisch, who's going to get his 3rd win of the season. He's got over a 2-second gap, over a 3-second gap now back to Antti Lepistö. This one didn't come as easily as his other two. It's going to be a well-deserved victory for Gernot Frisch, the number 1 machine here at the Brickyard. Lepistö comes home 2nd, and Juanmi Costa, a fantastic run for him. And he is going to be stepping onto the podium for the first time this year as well.
Yeah, indeed. Coming home 4th, gonna be Nick Thiessen, Martin Grubber 5th. Baumann 6th. Hafdal's gonna end up in 7th position. No, Baumann 6th. I think he lost the driver. No, Konieczny and Hafdal. Yeah, Hafdal's gonna be 8th because Konieczny got promoted to 7th place. Freak Tenkate 9th. And Mike Rasimas running out to top 10. And 10 in 11th place, it is Teemu Vaskilampi, Derek Rollivel 12th, and so on. We go to your full results, but I believe first, Nick, we have some messages coming up to...
Look at this. We've got Jean-Francois Boscas and Keith Herner coming to the line. This is back for 16th. Herner has caught Boscas. Is he going to be able to slingshot around him? Not quite.
Yeah, I wasn't quite looking that far back actually, but yeah, that was very close for these two guys, and once again a great result for both of these drivers being able to bring the car home in one piece. And I believe now we have some messages from our wonderful sponsors.
Indeed, we're going to step aside here on the Global Sim Racing Channel for one moment. See all the upcoming events slide across your screen. We'll be back with a full rundown of results and hopefully some driver interviews. If you're just joining us here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at the road course here in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, the rundown is certainly not predictable after all the action we saw in those 33 laps. So let's take you through the race results. Gernot Frisch getting his win. It didn't come easy, like I said, but he gets it nonetheless. Antti Lepisto and Juan Mikos to round out your podium, with Nick Thyssen and Martin Grönberg right behind him. Then you have where all of those battles fell out. Chris Baumann 6th, Peter Kaniewski 7th, Matthias Havdahl, who moved from 12th to 8th, Frank Tenka 11th to 9th, and then Mike Rasimus going to jump up into the top 10.
Indeed so. Teemu Vaskilampi, after a frustrating race damage from early on, gonna end up 11th. Derek Rolleveld ending up 12th. Jesus Basilas 13th. Tony Garcia 14th. Carl Villeneuve 15th. Jean-Francois Bocou 16th. Keith Turner 17th. Close battle between those two on the last lap. And Brendan Glenn Lloyd rounding out your finishers of the field in 18th place. Just 2 casualties in this demanding race. Joshua Leokata and Thomas Thorpe, who both classified as did not finish.
And we're being joined again by our winner, Gernot Frisch, but that one did not come as nearly as easily for you as some of the other ones have this season.
No, definitely not. Actually, I don't even know how things went in this race, because I felt I was a little bit slower than Antti. And I really had difficulties to follow him until mid-race. And then he maybe got a little bit slower. At least I was able to close the gap in the final laps. Maybe he had damage or something because he lost some time then.
We got to ask, how's the upper body feeling after 33 laps of that, just constantly sliding around? It looked like you guys had no grip out there.
It was really hot, so you're driving a car with no downforce or very low downforce in very hot and slicky temperatures. So yeah, it's not easy around here.
Yeah, absolutely not. But you get your 3rd win of the season. You now have the most wins of anyone in the Sunday Grand Prix Series. We head to the Nürburgring GP course next week. Certainly a different track, maybe a more traditional track in terms of the Grand Prix circuits. How are you feeling about that place?
Usually it's a track that I like. The downside is that I'm not able to race on Sunday, so I'll be missing the broadcast race, but I'll do a race on Saturday probably.
We'll certainly miss you from the show. Put on a great one today with Antti there for 2nd place. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, thanks to the other guys running this series. It's always really fun. This season it's even more interesting because every single week there are different guys competing for the podium. So it's very nice. So congrats to Antti and Juanmi as well. See you guys.
That's Gernot Frisch finishing once again on the top step of the podium. And Ozzy, you've caught up with the driver who finished down in 7th place today.
Yes, Peter Konieczny. Well, it was an eventful race for you. P number 4 in qualifying, and in the race, not quite able to hold on there, but we watched that mid-pack battle pretty much all race long here and there, and it looked like you at least had some fun out there, no?
Oh yeah, this was a crazy race for me. I don't know why suddenly I had no top speed or the other guys had a lot more top speed, but I just kept getting past. Good pace, just too hot-headed, I suppose.
Yeah, but how was that battling there? It was Nick Thyssen and Martin Grönberg and Chris Baumann and yourself and Matthias Havdahl and Frichtenkate and all those guys, Teemu Vaskilampi in the mix as well. We saw some crazy battles. Well, we asked this from Gernot, and we're going to ask this from you as well. How much are your hands and arms hurting right now? Because you guys were sideways so much.
Yeah, this was a constant battle. I'm sweating like a pig, and my arms are hurting, and it seems like, this was 100% focus, 33 laps nonstop. I mean, there was no time for even out on the oval portion. Getting on the oval, I was sliding a little bit. So, and then watching Chris ahead of me, he was all over the place, and it was almost distracting. So, I'm glad actually we finished where we finished.
Yeah, well, we're gonna move on to Nürburgring next week, the GP circuit, as mentioned earlier. You can put a little bit more downforce onto the car there. How glad are you about that one?
Well, I'm glad it's not the Nordschleife and it's the
Wait,
GP
what?
track because I love the long track, but I just can't drive it clean. So I'm glad it's the short track. So I don't remember how I did last time, but it'll be interesting.
Any predictions for your position? Top 10, top 5?
I'm all over the place, so I hope to be top 10, but it's different every week.
Well, thank you, Peter. And if you have any greetings or shout outs to anything, well, go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Konechny, P number 7.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for a great broadcast, and to all the guys that participate and make a good show out of it.
Yeah, cheers, Peter. And next, we're going to move after an awesome race to an awesome guy, Nick Schmieg. I believe you have some final greetings for our viewers.
Indeed. We're going to close things up here at Indianapolis. We want to give a special thank you to everyone who came out today for the 7th round in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, including all the drivers who put on the show for us today. It was a great one. An additional thanks to all the amazing companies that provide the software and hardware that we use to create a GSRC production for you. We also, of course, want to thank the very talented June Lalonde, who provides our music. See the screen for more on how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the crew in the booth today, Ozzy, Joe, and Dougie. Don't forget to check out the GSRC on social media. You can do that at our website on globalsimracingchannel.com, on Twitter at GSR Channel, on Facebook, we're at Global Sim Racing Channel, and on Instagram at GSRC_gram. And of course, you've already found our YouTube channel, so scroll down just a touch and hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a second of racing. The absolute beginners are headed to Spa at 2 p.m. Eastern today. You've got 22 minutes to hop on over there with us. But to see more of today's racing, like we said, we'll be back next Sunday, same place, same time at the Nürburgring GP course. Finally, with all that being said, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.